All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Financial Life Podcast. I am your host, Matt Dillingham, or Matty D as I go by. I have a fun, amazing guest to be on today. We're going to have a great conversation about, I guess I want to say magic, alchemy. For those of you who know, you know what I mean by that, as far as that goes. And before I get into this, I'd like to say that, hey, some of you know, some of you may not know that I do some things with credit, financial literacy coaching, and then soon to be into this with my guests, some alchemy of my own to teach you all and some other things too. So if you would like help with any of those areas, please book a call with me. You can do that simply by going to speakwithmatt.info. Again, speakwithmatt.info. Don't put the triple W, won't work. Speakwithmatt.info. And again, also as well, this episode is sponsored by Born to Risk, which is a book I was one of the co-authors on. I'm on chapter 39 because I turned 39 this year. If you like a copy, please reach out to me. With that being said, I was looking forward to episode one. To have this guest on for months now, I would say. Tricia Becker is she's one of my all top favorite coaches that I got into with Magnetic Mind, who saw from day one. She was like, this guy's got the thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I have no idea what I'm doing right now. There's so much going on. I just want to know step 1, 2, and 3. Forget 10. I just want to get to step 1. And so I grew her as a good friend, mentor, teacher. I'm excited to have you on, Tricia. Thank you very much. There's Tricia Beck, everybody. Clap.
And right back to you, Maddie D. I know the first time that I met you, the power that you bring to what you love to share will impact millions of people for the rest of your life. And it was really, really cool, our first connection, just to see that truth inside of you as you were learning how to actually share it and what you wanted to focus on to be of service to other people, because you were really stepping into your own light and your own power and your own knowing, bringing everything you learned about the financial world, but then also bringing everything into this world of energy and vibration and this unseen force, which you know, of course, is linked to our relationship with money. So I knew right off the bat that you were going to be create magic and ripple effects around the world. So congratulations. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being on. So I want to start with your story and how, how did you get into coaching yourself? What was your journey? I know some of it, but for the listeners who watch, I really want you to share it with them because you had some moments you're like, I'm like, wow, you went through that? And you're like, yeah, I did, and here I am. Magic out of my fingers. I'm like, what? So let's start there.
My fingers.
Yeah,
I like
your
that.
fingers. So I'm like, you can do that, and you're like, you could do it too. I'm like,
yes.
can. Yeah.
Anyway. Everybody can do it.
Everybody can.
It's really a choice. Well, this is definitely one of my later in life careers that I have stepped into, but it really started with my desire to be happy for myself. And I grew up in a very tumultuous environment in childhood, abuse, trauma, the wound, the inner child, all that stuff. And I always knew, even from childhood, there was something more than what I was actually experiencing. And so I always held that knowing. But I think one of the biggest catalysts that created this now current experience in my life of coaching and guiding others. And side note, people say life coaching, and it's like, no. It's way better than that, because you know how to live your life. You've been living your life. What I actually guide people to is create change and transformation that's sustainable so they can live a life that they love. And because I did it for myself. And then once I realized I was taking, at that time, probably 15 years of study that I did and putting it all in one little package, I realized there's a gift to my experience and my journey. And it really started off with some really deep acknowledgments about myself, that I was holding myself in pain when I first saw the movie The Secret. Came out in like 2006, 2007. And then really quickly, my life started to massively change. And I just went down the joyful rabbit hole of personal development, self-study, and really wanting to learn more about how to create this reality, because I had heard, it's like, wait a minute, if they're saying I can have everything I want, I need some of that. So I spent a lot of years doing it. But, in the meantime, during that, I was a professional jeweler. I got married. I had a baby. I had severe postpartum depression. And I thought, gosh, this is not what I was expecting in life. And then I ended up getting divorced. And then a year after my divorce, I decided to quit drinking alcohol. for lots and lots of reasons, but mainly because I was getting physically sick from a beer or two. And my body was just saying no more. And
Right.
once I quit drinking alcohol, that knowing that I had as a child, it came back. Now I have a word for it, it's intuition. And we all have that. Whether
Yeah.
you've had, oh, I just had this gut feeling. That's your intuition. It's your inner instincts that we all have, but it's a sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. But we don't always tap into it because we don't either trust it or believe it, or we're talked out of it. And when I started to allow myself that connection, and I was using meditation, studying with different gurus and teachers, and I met Wayne Dyer, studying Louise Hay's work, all these different people that I kept following, speaking with Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham nonstop, bringing it into my life. And then when about 4 years ago, I met my mentor, our shared mentor, Chris Duncan,
Right.
took some magnetic mind classes and became a certified coach for that program. And I learned within the first few months very quickly to connect into my intuition. And the knowing also that I wasn't broken, that there wasn't something wrong with me that I needed to fix, was really freeing. And then learning how to access this part of myself that felt more powerful and more true, but I didn't have words for it or how to do it or the explanation. So that's really what I've been creating for the last few years to share with other people. As I did it rapidly in about 6 months for myself with the help of a coach, commitment, consistently showing up and practicing and implementing, meeting cool people like you along the way, that I now am loving sharing this with other people. And my own experiences, I'm not void of these challenges and these struggles. I right before I found this course that I'm now bringing in all of my work combined with, but a dear friend died. A friend told me she had cancer, and I found out I was in a relationship with a narcissist, and it ended. And all that happened within a week. And I said, all right, I'm done. I am going to find the thing that actually brings me the happiness I want.
Right.
And it just took a few weeks, and I found this class, and I just again had that gut feeling. It was like a knowing, it was like a nudge, and it just said, Tricia, go do this. So I took that class. That was about 4 years ago. And so since then, I'm building my own company, my own programs, and really trying to put words to what I now know is the truth of who I am, and how to live in my joy and my power and my happiness, and create magic with the magic coming out of my fingertips, and live the life that I actually want to live.
Yeah.
In some ways. And actually, our conversations over the last couple of years, even revolving around money, is understanding, where do our relationships with people, money, our desires, where does that all come from? And it's actually just old training and information, whether it's from your family or school or relationships. And what do we do with all that information? And
Yeah.
how can we not live in that limited belief system anymore? And I know that's really what you teach with money and our relationship to it. And for me, it's really starting with our relationship to ourselves. And how can we step into that and being able to use our intuition, this like knowing that we have, how do we actually get to consistently practice it, connect into it, and use it to our advantage to live a happier, more fulfilling life? And that's just what I love doing now, each and every day, for myself, others, and people around the world, my family, my son. It's a lot of fun.
Everybody. Everybody.
Everybody.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't know you got to meet Wayne Dyer. What
I
was
met him
that?
9 months before he died. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember when he died. What did you get to ask him, and what did he pass on?
So it was, gosh, the January of 2015, right before I moved to North Carolina. I was living in California, and I knew he was speaking in Maui. He was speaking with Anita Morjani, and she's the author of Dying to Be Me. And I knew I wanted to meet her. Her book literally saved my life.
Mm.
She had a near-death experience, and it transformed my understanding of this connection to the unseen, which I always knew existed, but I didn't understand anything about it. But I
Yeah.
had so I went to go meet her. And when I sat down and hung out with Wayne for a second, we were just getting books signed, and you're in a line and you're talking to him, he's on stage. And I sat down with him, and I said, and I'm just, trying to just keep my cool. And I said, can I take a picture of us? He goes, I don't know. Can you?
That's a good response.
Classic dad line.
Yes.
Classic dad line. And I was like, I just want you to know, you say, he jokes that you're the father of inspirational thinking, and you're the father of all these things. And I said, you've been like a father to me with all your books and your teachings and the education you've got. And I'm trying to explain this to him really fast. He's like, all right, hold on there. I don't need any more kids, because he had 8 kids. And it was just,
Wow.
he was so funny and so genuine. And then the essence of that 3-day or 2-day, whatever, I can't remember how long it was, workshop in Maui was I am light. And really bringing that connection to that's who we are. I actually had him, some people get like Taylor Swift to sign their arm and they get a tattoo and whatnot.
Yeah.
Actually had him write on my arm, I am light. And it always resonated with me that was who I am. I was the one that was forgetting. And that was some of the biggest teachings I got out of that. I mean, and just knowing that he transitioned 9 months later, not even, it was the end of August when he died that same year, but that his teachings will forever impact the world.
Yeah.
And it's really beneficial for any of your listeners. Listen to some of Wayne Dyer stuff, even all the way back to the beginning stuff, because he really started teaching the work that created the biggest impact in his mid 40s. And then he taught, that line of work for another 30 some odd years. It's really impactful to see how can we change our reality. And it's change your thoughts and the things you're looking, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Right.
And that's that internal connection that I know you teach about money, mindset, mindfulness, and now for me, I use the word alchemy, because you get to see how it changes the lead that we have in our life, the metaphor lead to gold. What's this garbage we're holding on to?
Right.
And can we change our internal perspective to it, which then is reflected in the outer world? And then we can start to actually feel the gold and the magic in our lives.
I like that. Podcast done. We're done. That's it. That's it.
Gotta be everything, right?
That's it. That's all you need to know. Just buy it. Just buy our stuff. You'll be good. Trust me. It's been miraculous. Okay, so going into money, right? And you mentioned that's important. That for a long time, I finally just realized this myself. I got it, that when it comes to money and things, it's about really how you're feeling about yourself and not the money itself.
Yeah.
Explain it to people, because some people would be like, "What do you mean myself? I think I'm okay." It's like it goes deeper than that, and I just got that, like, for me, recent within the last, like, oh geez, that's the last month or so, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I like to think of the way we view our experience, our reality, in consciousness. So there's different levels of consciousness. Everybody has different definitions, different words, going all the way back to Freud and Carl Jung. Like, everybody has different ways to explain it.
Yeah.
But for me, when I look at what are the most pervasive patterns or repetitive thoughts or repetitive experiences that show up in my life, I learned, this is many years of self-study, I learned those patterns in early childhood. The definition of how I relate to myself, oh, Tricia, you have too much energy. You're the Energizer Bunny. And yes, I am. But I was also given that information in a way where it was viewed as bad. So as a child with all that energy, I was viewed as bad. So then how do I manage myself and my energy to fit in the world and not be rejected? I wasn't being true to myself of who I was, because I was viewing my own energy as bad.
Right.
The same thing with money is evil. It doesn't grow on trees. Or racism comes from early childhood beliefs, religious beliefs, early childhood beliefs. And that level of consciousness for me, as you know, we talk about this in our work that we both studied, is before 8 or 9 years old. And Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, so many great teachers, Greg Braden, they all talk about those old patterns that we learned, often pre-verbal. We don't remember them. But if you look at family constructs and how you're showing up in your life now, most of what shows up, one of the great teachers says 85%. I'm like, I don't know how you quantify that, but if you think of 85% of how your life is showing up is based on those patterns you received decades ago. When I first started learning it, I was like, oh gosh, I don't want 3-year-old me running my life anymore.
Yeah, I like that, and people don't realize that because I remember I learned about this myself in college, and in I took AP Psych in high school, and about the conscious, because I remember one of the things I remember my teacher saying, yeah, it's like, do you want to know why no one can remember anything before age 5? And we're like, I don't. He said, because your conscious mind isn't there. You're acting a little unconscious. I'm like, oh, no wonder. that was the first clue I got years ago, having no idea how it relates to everything in my life, and learning
Yep.
stuff now. But it's true. It's like you pick up so much stuff. Actually, you actually start picking stuff while you're in the womb, because
Yep.
you can't discern what thought is yours and everything else. Your mom is feeling it. You're like, what the hell's going on? And then you learn, okay, it's not safe. Then you're born. Then you're pick up everything from 0 to 5, pretty much.
Yep.
And then your conscious mind kicks in. See, the way I make a joke about it is, it's like, to explain to people, especially when I'm doing a recon. The joke I make is, so you're coming this life, and you're unconscious, and life's like, hey, unconscious mind, your unconscious mind's like, yeah, what's up? Here's this person's body. You gotta take care of it. Okay, you're gonna have help. I am conscious mind. The unconscious mind's like, great, perfect. So unconscious mind is doing his thing and goes, hey, conscious mind, we gotta take care of this person and have this life. It's gonna be great. And your conscious mind is like, yeah, I don't feel like it right now. What do you mean I don't feel like it? I'll be back. Don't worry. So about 5 years later, it shows up and goes, "Oh wow, this is amazing. This is great. Unconscious mind, you did a great job." Your unconscious mind's like, "No, mofo, you've been gone for like 5, 6 years. I'm not gonna talk to you in English. I'm gonna talk to you in patterns, beliefs, and emotions. Too bad." And so
Yeah.
from that point on, you basically have this conflict going within that you don't realize that consciously, irrationally, you want something. Well, the unconscious level or subconscious level, as it's also known as, you have things, beliefs that say no, because its job from when you were born is to keep you alive. And this is how this just goes on and on and on. So, like you said, basically for majority of people on planet Earth, your 3-year-old, 5-year-old self is running you, and you're not aware of it up until now.
Yeah. Until you choose to learn more about the truth of who you are and how you're showing up in the world and want to make some changes, and you go, oh my gosh, I've been doing that to myself all along.
Yes.
Ooh,
The
whoa.
insanity of it all. You're like, oh,
But
it
like
has been
honoring
me.
honoring that unconscious part of us, it really helped create who we are by learning how to sit and stand and walk and run and talk and express and feed ourselves and dress ourselves and
Yep.
toilet ourselves. And if you look at all of those systems, we don't remember learning to walk and crawl and run and talk and express and experience and ask for what we want and be. But that's how we continually show up. So for me, the great joy is really learning how to, I've heard many different people say different things about it. It's like, but it's for me, it's reconditioning, or we call recoding our mind. It's like rewiring those old patterns to believe what I want to believe now, and how
Right.
I want to feel, and how I want to experience and express. And in our work that we both learned is, sometimes called sabotaging identities, but what it really is survival identity that just want to create a sustainable physical human experience that is repeatable and survivable. And it doesn't matter what it is, it's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just a repeating pattern that's survived over and over and over again. That's
Yep.
why money patterns are so hard to change, because we've survived the same pattern over and over and over and over and over again.
Yep. And that's the irony of it all. Or I guess the funny thing is that, like, your unconscious mind's job is to keep you alive, and what it knows. And goes the saying of, the devil you know is safer than the devil that you don't know. Uh-oh. There we go. Oh, it was really good. Okay, now we're back. Cool.
Perfect.
Perfect. Um,
In the energetic field, that's usually what happens.
Yeah, we're talking about stuff and things are like, this is messed up. And what I was saying was that the unconscious mind, it sticks to what it knows, and it goes to saying, the devil you know, safer than the devil you don't know. So literally, it's like, well, we know we can survive this hellhole. That new stuff could be a joke, could be a
Yep.
lie. We could get
Yep.
it, can handle it. Oh wait, I'd be good enough, not good enough. So therefore, I'd be good enough. Its whole thing is death. It's really logical. But it's there, it does its job, and there's nothing wrong or right about it. That's its point. So it's learning to reprogram that, work with it, so everything's in line, and you do that through emotion. Like we say, well, let me ask this, so I don't spoil it. What are the 4 core choices or true choices? Tricia Becker.
Yeah. So the way we change it, the way we connect into, okay, those old patterns aren't serving me anymore. I see that yeah, this relationship pattern, or my relationship with money, or the thing that keeps, why, the question that I always get is, why does this keep happening to me?
Don't ask
Am I
that
living?
question. You'll get tons and tons of more evidence and things.
It's just a pattern on repeat from childhood, almost always. And I know I've established about 3 of mine over, in every area of my life, and they show up differently. When we actually take our power back, because that's what these survival parts of us just want, is to be in their power to create something that is survivable over and over and over again. That's a place of internal power.
Right.
But what happens over time is we often give our power away to people, places, things, money, environment, desires, whatever. And we don't want to rock the boat or change, all of those reasons why we don't understand more about ourselves and how to create changes. But the most powerful thing that I learned when I really started stepping into this world of alchemy, of now the way I teach it, is just that word choice. Is just even first and foremost acknowledging I have a choice here. Because what happens in childhood is those environmental experiences, people, places, things, whatever, they want to be in their power, people, most often.
Yep.
So they take our power away, and we unwillingly, we don't know any better, or there's no other experience to relate to, so we just do it.
Yep.
So we give our power away to some judgment or something. It's just literally giving our power away. And when we choose to acknowledge we're creating our reality, I know you believe this, we're creating our reality with our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions. How do we do it intentionally? How do I now create my reality? Then, knowing what all I know, what do I do now?
Right.
And first and foremost, just saying, I have a choice. That's it. That's just the first step. And then it's like, okay, well, what are you actually choosing? And that's anybody I work with, whether it's one-to-one coaching or my group coaching, or anytime I'm conversing with anybody, even my friends, they know I'm just going to get to the point. Well, knowing all that now, what are you choosing? And how to cultivate what you're choosing is actually a phenomenal place of power. And in the work we both learned is we create intentional choices that we focus on every day. So it becomes like the core of your life. It's how you view your relationship to self and others in the world, and it's a choice. We can say orientational choices. Another great teacher calls them your core choices. Many different ways to phrase it, but the foundation is I choose. So for me, I choose to live a life that I love. And once I really started getting that, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a choice. I could be really cranky or unhappy here, or I could just say, I choose to live a life that I love and bring the things into my life that bring me that. And I choose to live my true nature and purpose. And for me, I was a full-time professional jeweler for 25 years. How do I know what my true nature and purpose is?
Right.
When I connected into what made me feel amazing, what made me happy and full of joy, and connecting with magical people like you around the world, it's like, oh, my true nature and purpose is to share all this phenomenal knowledge with other people and see other people stepping into their power and the truth of who they are as a genius and living that light and whatnot. And health and vitality, choosing to live with health and vitality, is not me sitting on the couch eating a bag of chips and drinking a 6-pack all by myself watching Netflix for 6 hours. Like, what am I choosing to do to bring health and vitality in my life then? And really how to choose how to create your own reality. How do I choose to be the primary creator of my life? There's 8 billion, whatever other creators on the planet with me. But how do I intentionally connect into creating my reality for myself? And that is one of the core 4 choices. I choose to be the predominant and primary creator of my life. And for me, I've added, and I allow all others to do the same, because everybody has that place of power. And it's not up to me to tell you or anybody else how to create their life. What I love to do, though, is if I was going to work with you, and we've had sessions like this and talk like this, like, well, what do you really want?
Yeah.
What do you really want? And so many people can't answer that question. And that's the gift that I bring. And it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to find what lights you up. What makes you feel amazing? What makes you happy? What makes your heart sing? Whatever words you want to put to that, it's like that giggly, giddy joy inside of you that's like, yeah, that's the good stuff. And I love doing that with people to find out what do they really want to choose in their life.
Yep. And going back to what you said about people not knowing what they want, it's funny because I think you said it before, and some people do this, and I've talked to people like, what do you want? Well, what I don't want is like, well, that's not what I asked. What do you want? You're immediately going to, I don't want this. And it's like, no wonder you don't
Yeah.
have what you want. You're focused on things you do not enjoy, that you do not want in your life. What do you actually want? And going back to your point, it's true because growing up, we're not, a lot of us aren't told, hey, you have power, you have choice. What do you want? Unless it's Christmas time, that's a different story. But it's like no one sits you down and says, what do you want? Birthday, Christmas, fine. Other than that, your wants are shut down unless it's a need or special occasions. And so it's funny because people have a hard time with that. They're like, I don't know what I want. I'm like, well, yeah, you do. I work people. What do you want? I don't know. I'm like, and if you don't know what you want to listen to this, here's a great, easy, I'll say easy exercise. How do you want to feel?
Yeah.
You'll know, I've asked people, they go, well, I want to feel happy. Boom. You do know what you want. That's a lie. You
Yeah.
tell yourself. You do know what you want. Okay.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
then I've asked, so what are things that you do that make you feel happy? And list them off. Well, and then as soon as they know, they're like, oh, it's this. I'm like, see? And then we can construct it from there. It's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, how do you want to feel? I want to feel like, accomplished. Well, what things that you do that makes you feel accomplished? Is it cleaning? Is it house chores? I don't know. I hate doing house chores. I don't like doing cleaning at all. But whatever. But if that's what resonates with you, then you go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Exactly. And
With it.
it becomes a place of power, having that clarity of, most people I work with, it's either money or relationships or a job. And they said, no, I really, or where they're living. A lot of people want to change where they're living. And it's not the thing. It's not, it's the belief that we think the thing will give us something that we want, which is in essence an emotion.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I learned this from Tony Robbins years ago. I read it one of his books that it's not like you said, it's not the thing you want. It's the subconscious desire for the feeling from the thing.
Yeah.
Like you ask someone like, why do you want $500,000 in bank account? Well, because I'll feel done. You're gonna
I'll
feel
be able to. Yeah.
right. And then that's still attached feeling. It's all the feeling. It's like, oh, that's why. You're still gonna enjoy it and have an experience. That's what it comes down to as far as that goes. So for you, ma'am, what is exactly journeying into alchemy? What is the art of alchemy? That is your business, your brand, and I see you're like, you have energy coming out your fingers, magic shit.
Yeah. Well, I love the word alchemy because I realized once I started I've taken a lot of classes and done a lot of study just because I love learning a variety of skills and techniques. I was learning different ways to distill herbs and plants and
Oh wow.
create lotions and oils and balms and salves and healing things from plants. And the amazing teacher that I had, her name is Alice, she was talking about using alchemy as a principle to create change from the earth to something that is a phenomenal, viable, energetic product for our body. And when she was talking about alchemy, I was just like this, like, oh, tell me more. But then I realized immediately I was doing that because I was actually using fire to transform metal into jewelry. I could start with a sheet of metal and turn it into a bowl. I could start with a sheet of metal and turn it into a ring or a necklace or bracelets or earrings. And I thought, I'm actually doing that. So then fast forward a few years later, when I really experienced this work, and I thought, well, how do I combine everything that I've learned and teach it in a way that's still genuine to what I love? And the word alchemy, of course, came up as like, oh, you're an alchemist. And it's like, oh, you think of, a wizard or a magician, and it's like, oh, wait, that's what I feel like I do energetically. And if you've seen the movie Doctor Strange, after I did Reiki training, they teach symbols and how to use your mind and draw symbols. And I actually told the person I was with when I saw that movie, I was like, that's what I can do. But it's an energetic vision of creating change in the environment for myself, others, and the world. And the idea of alchemy is literally that metaphor of lead into gold. But to get the gold, you must have the lead, but everybody wants to avoid the lead. And if we just look at the lead as actually part of the process, it alleviates instantaneous stress about the garbage or the wound or the inner child that everybody, the shadow work is so huge now.
Yeah.
It's understanding that that's actually a necessary part of our journey. So my signature course is called The Art of Alchemy because I'm an artist and I really think it's creative, it's fantastic, and it's an expression that's individual like art. So the Art of Alchemy was the course I first started. But once I started teaching that, I said, this is not the only thing I'm going to be teaching. How do I really experience that, or teach to people that the experience is the joy and the journey, and just take a journey into alchemy? And I was like, oh, there it is. That's what I want to bring to the world, is that this is a journey. Our physical lives and our experience on this planet is a journey. And I hated that line, the joy is in the journey, because my journey sucked for like 40 years.
I can understand. You're like, this journey sucks. Where the fuck is the journey with the joy in this? Like, really? Like, joy.
And then once I realized it's, those alchemical processes, mainly this metaphor of lead into gold, there's joy in getting the gold. How do we also find this joy in the journey of transformation from the lead into the gold? And that's what I bring to my work, whether it's writing or teaching or speaking on stage or having fun in podcasts or group coaching. I do one-to-one coaching. I do one-off, one session. The way that I guide people is to experience, even in an hour, or hopefully in a short session like this, how can there be joy in understanding where you're at and where you want to go, and also all the way back to where you came from. And it first starts off as that choice, but knowing you have a choice to make changes right now in the present moment fully puts you in your power.
Yep.
And that's what I love bringing to this work that I share based in alchemy.
I like that. I like the point you made about the lead, and to expand on that, because this brings to a point. People, what do I want to say? The lead can also represent where you're currently at in life, your current scenario, your situation, whatever that looks like for you. And for a lot of us, myself included, we look at it and go, this sucks, I hate it. We put a lot of judgment and a lot of resistance into it. And like, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. And then we go off, try and change it or fix it. And that's a structural problem that we have. That, I mean, we're taught there's problems, solutions, right and wrong, when the truth is nothing is good or bad, nothing we fix, it just is. We're the ones who are perceiving it as such because that's what we're taught. And that screws it up for you when you're trying to go out and create. You just want to create because you love it, not because you're trying to fix anything. And that, where you're at, is a necessary start. It's the spark. It's the thing that says, oh, this is where your desire springs from. And that it serves purpose in that, not to just constantly hate it and be like, I hate it, because I did it for years, and it just you just become more and more unhappy and complain more. Then you get more of that. Funny enough,
Yeah.
It's
repetitive.
Yeah.
And it's in that line of energy of thought being energy, or words, or emotions, or your physical action. Those things are actually measurable in the world of energetic force, or your heart creates a measurable energy outside your body.
It's a big circle.
Electromagnetic field is huge.
Yeah.
But we often don't give that any credit because we just think it's a byproduct of the human body. And it's like, no, you can actually change your heart rate. If you just focus on slowing down your heart or speeding it up without movement, every human being can do it. Same thing with breath. We don't pay attention to breathing until we make the intention to pay attention to our breathing.
Or until we need air badly, and we're like, "Oh shit, I need to breathe." And it's like,
yeah. Or until we don't have it. That's when we pay attention to it. But this is where what's your intention comes in. Is what are you actually intending each and every day of your life? And when you take that power to say, I'm intentionally choosing to create my reality in the way I desire it now, you own that there's old patterns that exist that you learned long ago.
Yeah.
And then taking that power back to learn how to change them. And that's what both of us provide to people we work with, is whether it's money patterns or, love coaches. For me, everything is rooted in alchemy, because wherever we are in life, we actually have the power to change it if we so desire. And how do we do it in a way that is not only sustainable and effective, but that it takes the rough edges off when you have that safe space and somebody you trust to connect with and work with, that can guide you in a way where there's no judgment.
Yep.
And I always say this to everybody I work with, there's no good or bad here. I'm here to hold you in a place where you tell me where you want to go, and I promise I'm going to get you there. And of course, that first step is, well, what are you choosing? What do you actually want in life? And getting that, to a place of connection with somebody is so fun, because then they're just automatically lit up immediately acknowledging, oh my gosh, I can actually dream and think and feel what I want to have in life, and you make it safe for them, and you make it enjoyable experience to feel and see that.
Yep.
It just becomes fun. I love the relationships that I've created with my clients, and lots of them become very good friends because everybody evolves. And as coaches need coaches. I become a better coach working with my coach. I become a better coach and guide and teacher by teaching. And it's just fun. And it just gets better and better. Not that the past was bad.
Right.
It's that I'm evolving and expanding into a greater, more phenomenal, true expression of who I am and how I choose to show up in life now,
Right.
which is just so much fun.
No, I like that. Life becomes infinitely more awesome. It really is a never ending journey. It really is. It keeps going. Like, how much more is there? There's a lot more. Like, it's
Yeah.
just. And my journey has been interesting to go from starting with magnetic mind, still doing the work, to going to like some shaman initiation thing. Which is, I won't go into that today. That's a different podcast.
That's another
Yeah,
conversation.
another conversation, which has been interesting for me. But yeah, it's really it's very rewarding too to like
Yeah.
help people out with something. And it's like, yes, and like you said, it really is about um helping people to, I don't want to say realize, but remember that, hey, you do have power. You can still make choices towards to what you want. You've been making choices, albeit unconsciously up until now. And here's how you make the conscious choice to focus on what you want and take the action. And then what's going to come up for that needs to be handled for you to get to. Because otherwise, you're going to just be repeating, be oscillating.
Yeah.
Those patterns and beliefs and emotions are pretty powerful, or I would say sneaky, because like, no, we can't have it. It's like, wait, I'm back here again. It's like, well, hold on. Let's look at how was that for you? What's coming up that's showing about you that then you look and go, oh, this is what's within me. Okay, let's let it go, dissolve, recode, or whatever. Cool, get your power back, and then you can continue forward.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you this question too as well. As far as what you've seen with around money and your clients, what's been like the biggest, the most common problems, challenges, and frustrations that they've had? Like, hey, I'm trying more money, I can't do it. Like, what's been your experience with what they've told you? Oh,
Yeah, the greatest shift I have seen is that internal thought pattern, because we all think thoughts. We don't know where the thought energy is coming from. But in my expression, my world, my definitions is thought is an energetic form that we're often just repeating. And that is based on all the old information and the patterns we've heard from other people and everything to do with now and in the past.
yeah,
Also, I believe that our energy is existing before we actually choose to incarnate into a body in the womb. And those energetic, especially if you look at, people who've studied generational patterns, like Bert Hellinger, he talks about 7 generations back. Somebody was telling me same thing in the Bible. It goes back generationally. There is history there that's not just verbally spoken and passed down. It's an energetic representation in a relationship.
yeah,
So really getting people to understand what that is, and creating choices and intention and a connection to how you choose it to be now. That creates the biggest shift. But what I've personally experienced is internal dialogue about my story and relationship of, I can't afford that. I don't have enough. I can't have that. It's like, who's saying that?
yeah,
And who's saying that is just the old me. It's not true.
yep,
But this is why people who win the lottery or who become, superstars really quick, they don't change their internal relationship, their internal dialogue, the connection to their emotional and thought relationship connection, whatever your perception to these things.
yeah,
Same thing why people recreate the same relationship over and over again. You're going to date a narcissist, and that one you date a different person, but you're still dating someone in the same pattern. It's the exact same thing, but it's an internal journey, again, to create that change. Alchemy.
yep,
You must understand who you are and where you're coming from and what your intention is. And that the biggest shift that I have seen consistently now doing this work for 4 years is that internal story that we tell ourselves. And we often don't hear it until we're intentionally, consciously aware of our thoughts. then we're also aware of our words and we're aware of our actions. This was a huge one that I connected into when I started connecting into my old stories about money. Was my dad, he would always every 2 weeks on Wednesday night, because that was when he got paid, he would balance the checkbook in the dining room of our house when I was growing up. My dad was a loving, kind, gentle man, but do not talk to him when he was balancing that checkbook. It was the only time he ever yelled. And it was like, oh, it's just not safe to do that. So I always, then in adulthood, I had an aversion to balancing a checkbook. I didn't even know how until I learned. And then it was like, oh, this is really awful feeling.
Right.
And then once I realized that where's the root of that coming from is that I got yelled at as a kid when I was part of that. And I was like, wait, you can't manage your finances unless you're going to look at them. So how do you create a story about the joy of looking at your money? And that's an intention. But it comes with that understanding internally first of what's my old story here is I hate looking at my bank account. What's the story? You hate it. So it's not going to reward you in a way that feels good. It's not going to be effective in a way that creates a healthy connection.
Yeah.
And that's that awareness. So I love, and the work that I teach with the art of alchemy is the first thing is teaching how to become aware of where you're at right now. And you've got to do that.
That's the biggest step for a lot of people. It's becoming aware. And people are like, I'm aware. I'm like, you're not. You think you are. I've been there. Like, I'm aware. Like, no, you're not. And
they have
write stuff down. And it's like
the thought forms about it, but writing it down exactly and actually creating, in this work that we both are experiencing and teaching is how do we have these definitions now? How do we create new definitions about our relationship with money or what money is, or even what relationships mean, or I'm trying to resolve something I don't have, but I don't have enough money, so I want more. That's actually a definition that currently you're just not enough, and you believe that having more will make you enough.
Right.
And it's just not true. So this awareness that we can cultivate, and then choosing intentionally, how do we create these new definitions to serve the reality we want to live now? Really powerful.
Yep. Wise words spoken from a wise woman. Done.
Thank you, sir. I know you're doing this for yourself too. It's and I'm not going to say, the knowing and the learning and the logic around it is kind of easy to just comprehend intellectually.
Yeah.
When you start implementing it in your life and seeing the repercussions of your awareness, your thoughts, your intentions, your actions, and all that, it is just mind-blowing of, wow, how do we do this now intentionally?
Yeah.
And really getting to the truth of what you want, like you said. And are you aware? And those two together in itself is magnificently, exponentially going to change your life.
Oh yeah, no, it does. And I think people don't. I think some people are just afraid to try it. What would you say to those people who are like, I don't know, can I really do this? Like to ease their concern and say, like it's like we're having a good time at a party. People see us having a good old time. It's fun, and they're like, no.
I mean, I always teach with metaphors. It's a good way to just have another separation from the thing that might fire you up. Like, just imagine a day where you never ate ice cream in your entire life. You've never, ever, ever tried this delightful thing we all define as wonderful as called ice cream. You just imagine you've never eaten it before. So someone hands you this thing and they say, try this. It's the best ever. And you're like, nah, I'm not eating that. It's cold. It's cold. It came out of a box in a freezer. Like, what are you talking? I'm not going to eat that.
Right.
It's got it's freezing. I don't want to be cold. But someone really just tries to convince you, like, come on, it's absolutely amazing. Forget, that there's lactose intolerance and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you can get your first taste of something, if you allow yourself just to get over that fear that, no, I won't do that. If you create a connection of trust with someone and you believe them and they've shown you enough proof and said, this is safe and I think you might enjoy it. Would you like to try it now? And that's what I love bringing to my clients. Like, I don't want you to just trust what I'm saying. I want you to implement it in your own life and get your own proof. So here, have a little taste and have another taste if you like it. And if you don't, we redirect and we create a new course. It might not be chocolate ice cream. I hate chocolate ice cream. But you give me cookies and cream all day long, I'm happy as could be.
Right.
It's course correction throughout repetition. And it's the willingness for me that the greatest joy is creating that trust connection with someone to say, I'm a safe place to land here, whether you're happy or sad or angry or joyful, or I'm here to support you to get you what you want. So let me be a guide and say, here, try this and let's see how it works for you.
I like that. That is it's good. It's a good answer. And with that, when you land a plane and end this trip today, I thank you for being on, Tricia. For those people who want to reach you, how can they get in touch with you?
So my name, Tricia Becker, that's also my website, easiest way. And you may find some of my old jewelry work online if you search my name. I live in North Carolina now in the eastern coast of the US, a near neighbor to you.
That's right. I forgot. I'm thinking so far. I'm like, I'm in Virginia. I'm
just a
so used
state
to being
away,
so
just a state
farther away.
away.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Well, my website's triciabecker.com. Email, of course, is same, Tricia@triciabecker.com. Find me on Facebook, Tricia Becker. Join my private group. It's just for people who want to learn more about alchemy on Facebook. It's Journey into Alchemy with Tricia. And my website, you might find it with Journey into Alchemy, the Art of Alchemy. But if you search my name, Tricia Becker, and you put in North Carolina in the US, you'll find out more about what I offer. Send me an email. Find me on Instagram, Journey into Alchemy, TikTok. It's going to start growing and getting bigger too, with more reels and fun stuff. Engaging as the magical alchemist Tricia. So it's yeah, using my name, you'll find me somewhere on the World Wide Web.
There we go. Appreciate it. Awesome. And I highly recommend anyone watching this live or listening to it or watching YouTube, whatever, the recording. Definitely have a session with Tricia. It'll definitely give you clarity into what you want and what to do. I've had 2 or 3, I want to say. I feel like it's been
lots of that.
Lots of them. And each time it's always been beneficial where I learn something new. Like, oh, I come in, I'm like, I know this shit. I'm like, oh, there's that. And I'm like, I know this, there's that too. And I'm like, all right, so I don't really know anything. Which is really good.
Always learning and expanding myself as well.
Everybody. Cool. Thank you,
so
man.
much. I appreciate your time. Wonderful talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you.